What's up, guys? How's it going? So we're setting everything up real quick. Oh, this is not mine. This is NASA space flight, so I don't want to get into that. What's up, guys? How's it going? Today's the day. Starship 6 is launching again, and this time it's 3 o'clock during the day, so that's pretty cool. I'm so excited right now. It's about to go off. So we're just waiting for SpaceX to go live, which should be in about a minute. But yeah, Starship Flight 6 is today at 3 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock Texas time, 3 o'clock Arizona time. And yeah, this is gonna be a good launch. They're gonna try to attempt to catch the booster, and we'll see Starship land during the day. So that's gonna be really sick to see. I'm so excited, dude. Like, it's gonna be absolutely insane. I don't want them. I'm just gonna look at their stream on the other TV because I don't want NASA Spaceflight to get mad at me because that's their stuff. But oh my gosh, guys, it's already Flight 6. It's literally a month later, and here we are again doing the world's biggest rocket again. So unbelievable. SpaceX is about to be live, so this should be a really good launch. I'm excited. You guys are probably excited. We're on time. We get to see everything that goes down. We're gonna see everything that happens. So we're finally on time for this launch. It's gonna go hard. That's all I gotta say. If you're not watching, you have to watch because all I'm saying is gonna look fake, but it's real. So, yeah, about 3 to 7 minutes to flight, according to NASA space flight. I'm so excited. It's gonna be one hell of a flight. That's all I gotta say. It's gonna be one hell of a flight. Yeah, hopefully the stream looks good. If I have to, I could just try. I think it's just the software. If I have to, I'll just use my camera. I guess I'll have to see my room. Actually, I'm gonna see if it's messy in case, because I don't like this. Well, actually, I'm not gonna start yet because I don't want YouTube to catch it or something. I mean, I can't really do anything else to this room. It's gonna look like this. Alright, let me fix this for you guys. Yeah, because it's just, I think it's laggy because of the... Oh. Here we go.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 6th flight test of Starship. It is currently 3:25 p.m. Central Time at Starbase, Texas, and it has been just 40 days since our last launch of the world's biggest rocket. We're targeting our first afternoon Starship liftoff just 34 minutes from now, and that will occur at 4 p.m. Central Time. Now, this timing will bring us daylight views of the ship splashing down on the other side of the world. I'm Kate Tice, Senior Quality Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX.
And I'm Jesse Anderson, a Senior Structures Engineering Manager, and we are joining you live from SpaceX Hawthorne. On Flight 5, we promised you maximum excitement, and Starship delivered in what had to be one of the most memorable moments in my time here at SpaceX.
Same.
Like so many of you, we were in utter shock as we watched that historic booster catch unfold, and we're back today to try and do it all over again. As Kate mentioned, it's been just over a month since Flight 5, making this our quickest turnaround yet between Starship flight tests. Our ultimate goal is to get that turnaround time down to hours.
Following Flight 5, the SpaceX team went to work, immediately implementing lessons learned into the vehicle and tower's hardware and software systems for Flight 6. This is what rapid iteration looks like. We gather real data from these test flights and turn around and fly again as soon as possible. This is the process that is bringing us the rapidly reusable Starship that will soon be taking us to the Moon and Mars.
Flight 5 proved that we can safely bring the booster back to the launch tower, which is a key factor in driving rapid reusability, and land ship with a high-precision splashdown in the Indian Ocean. We'll be taking you through today's test objectives in just a moment, but first, let's check in with Dan, who is on the ground just a few miles from the pad at Starbase with the best views. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, Jesse, it's going fantastic. I got a couple hundred of my best friends out here ready to watch this launch and hopefully another catch today. But welcome everybody back to Starbase for another Starship launch. I'm Dan Hewitt. Got Launch Control Center right behind me, tower just about 6 miles over that shoulder. It has been a pretty quiet countdown. Not a lot of chatter on the loops right now as we are into prop load, and we are counting down to the very top of our window at 4 p.m. Central Time. So just about 32 minutes from now. Right now, the range is projected to be clear by then. We've got our assets out there making sure land, air, sea, everything around the launch pad and then our flight path are clear before we give the final go to liftoff today. We got through the weather poll. Everything was looking great. A little breezy today, but well within our constraints for both launch and catch criteria. And as you can tell, we're loading propellant onboard the vehicle. You can see those white frost lines starting to tick up as we're putting the cryogenic, the liquid methane, and liquid oxygen out to both of those vehicles. The ship prop load started at about T-minus 49 minutes, and then the booster followed just a couple minutes after at about T-minus 41. We're almost halfway full on ship, just about a third on booster. Those are both going to continue until we're about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before liftoff on ship. And then the booster is going to close out at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So we pretty much we're loading up right to that last possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off the launch pad. The countdown startup sequence, everything will look very familiar if you watched Flight 5, assuming you did. But you're going to see the engines start to ignite at about 3 seconds before liftoff. They're going to start up in 3 different groups. First, those center 13, then 15 of that outer ring, and then those final 5, bringing all 33 Raptors online. After that, we'll see about a second later, and then it'll lift off, so a couple seconds from first light until motion. As usual, we can hold at T-minus 40 seconds if we have any last-minute issues to clear, anything with the range, anything that triggers on the vehicle. And if we pass T-minus 10 seconds, the deflector fires, and then we scrub, then we're done for the day for at least 24 hours. But weather is fantastic, light breeze, no clouds in the sky. Not tracking any hardware constraints to launch today. If we're not able to get off the pad, though, we've got opportunities throughout the week. Could be 24 to 48 hours later. But everything looking great. I'm excited to be able to see another one of these get off the pad. Check back in with everybody in just a couple of minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Now, you could see those 2 towers in the back there in the distance at Starbase. Starbase is really coming along just as rapidly as Starship itself. That second launch tower will be coming online next year, and it will allow us to increase our flight cadence and test even more frequently. And just a few kilometers away from the 2 towers, our cutting-edge 1 million square foot Star Factory is nearing completion with the goal of producing hundreds of ships a year.
Yeah,
Dang.
that might sound crazy, and that's because it is. If you can imagine a future where we are flying and catching a fleet of boosters, which is the lower portion of the vehicle, that fleet is actually pretty small compared to the potentially hundreds of ships, the uppermost portion of Starship, that will be flying in that future vision.
Yeah, exactly, Kate. Those ships will be staying in space for long-duration missions to go to the moon or Mars, or become tankers for refueling, or any number of other uses. But the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship. So in order to hit that production cadence of hundreds per year, we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which is our Starship production facility in Texas.
And views of that Star Factory there. Now, this place allows us to move system integration work earlier in the build process, which means more efficiency, higher quality, and ultimately faster production. Starbase is an incredible place to be right now. There really is nowhere else in the world like it. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Now, what you might be hinting at is the good news is we are hiring. If you love what you're seeing, check out our openings at Starbase. On the engineering side, we're looking for vehicle design engineers across structures, propulsion, and integration.
And if you're a hands-on tech, we're looking for integration technicians and welders that can help us hit our goal of building a Starship every 8 hours. And to do that, we need builders.
Yeah,
every
we're definitely going to
8
need a
hours.
lot of builders to get that down to just 8 hours.
Right? Now, beyond that, in order to keep Starbase growing, we have all kinds of roles, from baristas to HVAC technicians to EMTs. So chances are, if you're looking, we have a place for you. Visit spacex.com/careers to see all of our openings.
Every role is critical to the future of Starship. With Starbase growing faster than ever, we can't do it without you.
This place is where our future is being built, and that is a future that we are all very excited about. All right, let's dive deeper into the inner workings of Starship and learn more about this flying skyscraper.
Starship features two major parts: the ship, which has 6 Raptor engines, and the Super Heavy booster, which has 33 Raptor engines. And just like flights 1 through 5, the current iteration of Starship is an experimental vehicle flying for development. And with a few planned upgrades, Starship will have 3 times the thrust of Saturn V at 10,000 metric tons of thrust, plus the added benefit of full reusability. Starship 2 will be capable of carrying more than 100 tons to orbit, and Starship 3 will be able to lift more than 200 tons to orbit. Now, the amount of mass we're able to launch per rocket is crucial to creating a self-sustaining city on Mars.
Exactly. And speaking of launch mass, we should probably acknowledge the elephant, banana, in the room, and our today's secret payload.
Okay, so 2 things here. The first is, remember on Flight 5, we had a giant Mechazilla decal where the banana is today. And there you can see that on your screen. Now, that decal is 3 feet tall, which might be hard to tell looking at it on the ship right there, which is why we have a full-scale reproduction of that decal here with us so that you can see the size compared to humans.
Yeah, it is bigger than you think it is. Like Jesse said, it's 3 feet high, and this is full-scale, just like the one that was on Flight 5.
What?
Now,
That's
it is hard
a big
to
sticker.
follow
That's a
Mechazilla,
big
but I
decal.
do have one better. Bananas have been used for quick visual comparisons for quite some time, and our teammates thought it was time to bring the venerated yellow fruit to Starship.
Today, we're flying Starship's first ever physical payload, which is, as you might have guessed, is
Starlink.
a banana.
Oh, a
That's
banana.
a live
Dude, come
view
on, man.
inside Starship, and
They
if you
got
look
me.
closely, you can see our stuffed banana payload, which is doubling as today's zero gravity or zero-G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at
That's
all times and
hilarious.
will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes with the FAA. And that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship. Godspeed, banana.
Some additional size for context, you can see on your screen a Starlink Mini next to a banana for scale.
That's hilarious, dude.
And to get an even
That's
better
your
sense of
first
how
ever
big
payload
Starship
is a
is,
banana.
let's take the average size banana
Let's go.
next to the average size human, which is about 2 meters high. Towering over our average human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship is about 50 meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future.
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that because it's pretty big already. Now, Starship's first stage has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and as you can see on your screen, with 33 much larger Raptor engines. I love this view. This is looking up at the aft end of Starship there at the engine bay. Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea levels and 3 vacuum engines, which are optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. The ship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface, like the surface of the moon, for example. This ship is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable a precision landing.
To reach full reusability, the ship must survive re-entry not just once, but multiple times. It took the teams at SpaceX about 3 years to develop the heat shield on Starship, and development for improvements is still ongoing. The ship's heat shield is composed of thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles designed to insulate the vehicle during atmospheric entry, where temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit or over 1,400 degrees Celsius. The tiles are something we iterate on every flight test as we build towards a heat shield requiring no refurbishment between flights to unlock rapid reuse.
And the teams have actually already begun testing the heat shield tiles in environments simulating Mars atmospheric entry conditions, which we'll see more of in just a few minutes. You know, slightly different than coming back to Earth.
Just slightly different. And in between the first and second stages is our hot stage, which we saw in action on flights 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's recap that last flight to understand what we accomplished and how that's changing for today's flight.
On October 13th, Starship successfully lifted off at 7:25 a.m. Central Time from Starbase, Texas. A gorgeous sunrise ascent that was fairly quickly followed by the hot stage separation maneuver, which we see here, as well as on multiple previous Starship flights. The booster then performed a flip maneuver, boost back burn, and then we jettisoned that hot stage, which you see there. The booster then performed its boost back burn, which brought it back on a trajectory to the launch tower, back to the Gulf Coast. We can see here the booster descending through the Earth's atmosphere. It broke the sound barrier again as it was coming back through. Those Raptor engines relit, and then the moment that made us all lose our minds, the booster came back for a successful first ever catch by the chopstick arms back at the exact same launch tower that it launched from. It was insane. As you can see, we all went bananas. And you did too, probably. Thousands of distinct vehicle and pad criteria had to be met, and thanks to the tireless work of the entire Starship team, we succeeded on that first attempt.
And while that all was happening, ship was continuing to coast towards the Indian Ocean. It executed an excellent coast, made its way down through re-entry, relit its engines, did that flip maneuver, relit its engines for landing burn, and then splashed down into the Indian Ocean. Now that whole flight test concluded, that splashdown 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
Starship's 5th flight test was one of our most ambitious yet, and as we work to demonstrate techniques fundamental to Starship and Super Heavy's fully and rapidly reusable design.
And I think I speak for all of us when I say that seeing the catch for the first time was an extraordinary moment for the entire SpaceX team. We've seen a lot of wild firsts here, but that was truly an epic moment in time.
Yeah, we're not forgetting that anytime soon. Certainly one in the history books. Now, today's mission profile is very similar to Flight 5, but there are some differences that we've incorporated as we prepare for future reuse. About 20 minutes from now, Super Heavy will ignite its 33 Raptor engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster will separate from the ship in a hot stage separation, and we've seen that occur on multiple flights, including Flight 2, 3, 4, and 5. About 2 seconds after that burns, we'll jettison that hot stage. The booster will perform its boost back, flip and boost back maneuver. And we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for a catch by the tower's chopstick arms. And once again, we will only attempt that if both the booster and tower are healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new. And this is still just a test, so success is very far from guaranteed today. It's always a possibility that we'll lose the vehicle. It's a contingency that we always plan for.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while the booster is doing its job, the ship's 6 engines will remain lit for a few minutes before shutting down and then going into the coast phase. The ship will coast for a total of about 40 minutes or so, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 213 kilometers. Now, one additional objective for this flight during coast is an in-space burn using one of ship's Raptor engines. Doing a burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns, which is a key capability for upcoming orbital missions. Now, after the coast phase, the ship will attempt a controlled re-entry, and if ship makes it all the way down, we'll once again perform a flip and landing burn before splashing down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there are some notable changes to our entry plans for this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to, and very likely beyond, its limits. This includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and reuse. Today's flight test will also test new secondary thermal protection materials, and entire sections of the heat shield has actually been removed in certain areas. And on top of all of that, we're going to fly the ship at an aggressive angle of attack once it's moving slower than the speed of sound.
Now, this means we'll be flying nose down instead of our usual belly flap orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits of the flap's ability to maintain control, but it will be a chance to get real flight data on what our limits actually are.
So, to put it as bluntly as possible, do not be surprised if this is not a smooth flight to splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits as we plan for future ship return and catch.
And even though ship recovery is not expected today, the telemetry and data we receive all the way to the end is what we're looking for, and what will help us get to a rapidly reusable Starship of the future.
Not recover it, but land it.
Now, just like Flight 5, one of our objectives for Flight 6 is attempting to return the booster to the launch site to be caught by the tower. The booster for this flight has upgrades to add redundancy across its propulsion system, increase the structural, as well as increasing the structural strength in a few spots. We've also implemented a few changes across both ship and tower to try and speed up the post-catch timeline. Returning vehicles to the launch site leverages the same hardware that we use for stacking ahead of flight, making our infrastructure multi-purpose. And in order for us to achieve that rapid reusability that we keep talking about, we need a quick turnaround, and you can't get much faster than returning the launch vehicle right back there to where it needs to launch from again.
Exactly. In this video, you can see our original render of booster catch alongside the actual footage of catch from Flight 5. This video is just mind-blowing to see the predicted versus reality. And just like the last flight for today's booster catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember when we first heard the call out that tower was go for catch on Flight 5, and wow, I still get goosebumps when I think about that moment. Now, for today's test, just like Flight 5, we're only going to catch if everything on the booster and the tower checks out after launch. As always, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public and our team. And so to that end, the area around the pad and the flight path are cleared in advance.
A lot of things have to go right in order to line up the booster catch. So if all criteria is met, we will attempt the catch, but there is a chance that we may not. Either way, we'll be getting tons of in-flight data, which is extremely valuable.
Exactly.
You're not gonna catch it?
That first catch was pretty epic, though. So, like you, we'll be keeping our hopes high to see another one this afternoon.
I hope.
Now, Dan, you got to see it in person last time.
Zero clouds.
Are you mentally prepared for a possible round 2?
I mean, probably not. That was pretty hands down the coolest thing I've ever seen, and the fact that we're going to do that every time now breaks my brain a little bit, but it was absolutely incredible. One of the unique aspects with Super Heavy coming back is it does generate a sonic boom. This is something commonly associated with reusable spacecraft. It's just, it's coming in faster than the speed of sound and then slowing down. It creates that pressure wave that builds up, and then when it reaches you on the ground, that rapid change in pressure is that quick thunderclap sound that you hear. Now, generally the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. And in this video, you can see as we were descending.
Gosh.
And there was kind of that quick triple pop that you heard. Now, that was picked up from closer to the pad. Most people at our distance and further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of each other that it might just sound like one big bang. But as I said, that's something that's only associated with spacecraft being reused. We hear it with Falcon 9. We heard it during Shuttle, and looking forward to hopefully hearing it today. Just a quick status check, though. We're about 85% full on ship, almost 2/3 of the way full on booster, continuing to count down about 13.5 minutes, a little under that, until we lift off today. But still looking good. I'll check back in with you guys in a few minutes.
Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think Dan said it really well when it really does hurt the brain to think that this is going to be the norm, that this is just the beginning. Every one of these flights is a step closer to a fully operational Starship that will take us beyond Earth orbit. And with our pace of rapid iteration here, the Moon and Mars are not nearly as far in the future as you may think. In fact, we're planning to send Starships to Mars as soon as 2026.
Which is when the next Mars transfer window opens, which is under 2 years from now. Now, you might be familiar with the Starlink logo, which you see there on your screen. It's an iconic representation of the Mars transfer orbit, also called the Hohmann transfer orbit. This transfer window, or the time between the time when Earth and Mars are closest to each other, opens every 26 months and is only open for about 2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar to how we launched to the International Space Station, where we timed the launches to match the station's orbit. If we didn't do this, we would need more propellant and more time to get there.
So the first opportunity we have to fly Starships to Mars, we plan to go for it. These first flight tests to Mars will be uncrewed and will test the reliability of landing in tech. If those landings go well, the first crewed flights will soon follow after that.
Right now, our flight tests are focused on proving out reusability of both Super Heavy and Starship. In 2025, we'll continue that focus while also potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate capabilities central to our role in taking astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on orbit, which you can see there on your screen, with a Starship prop tanker docked with a fuel depot. Next year, we're planning to test this capability by launching 2 Starships and having them meet up to transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. Now, when the time comes to land on the moon, Starship will link up with NASA's Orion spacecraft in lunar orbit, where astronauts will transfer over for their descent. Now, once on the lunar surface, they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU spacesuits from Axiom Space and leave the first footprints on the moon in more than half a century, kickstarting humanity's mission to establish a sustainable presence there. And coming soon to a moon base alpha near you, Starship Enterprise Edition.
That is so exciting, and all the advancements that are going to come in order to enable all of that. Now, our rapid iterative development approach has been the basis for all of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink. Today, we're testing hardware and systems, and we need to know how they perform under the most extreme conditions. And what's more extreme than the flight environment? We'd much rather find the bugs and limits now during testing than later on when there's more on the line.
And to reiterate, while we do determine an acceptable level of technical risk on our vehicle and pad to learn as fast as possible, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public or our team. So all of that to say, this is only the 6th of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And we tend to do our testing out in the open, just like today. And that means people sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform as we planned during that testing. And that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for, to physically see if hardware performance matches what we expect it to do or not. Even more with today's test flight, where we're purposefully pushing the ship beyond its limits.
Starship development is also being aided by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us critical flight data engineers need to continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people across the globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon, Starship will deploy our next generation Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all around the world and beyond. Now, as we continue to prepare for our next several flight tests, we recently performed a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with a vehicle debuting a number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location, and both of these things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle more reliable, adding redundancy and the ability to operate for longer durations in space.
One unique aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the Martian atmosphere. Now, it's difficult to simulate Mars's atmosphere when re-entering on Earth, so we've been testing a variety of heat shield materials inside a specialized plasma jet chamber at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen, which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As we continue to test, we'll learn more about what makes a great heat shield for Mars.
Everyone's watching. Look at that.
All right, now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbase.
Hey, Kate, afraid I have nothing but good news for you. We have a go from our range safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85% full on booster. And not tracking any holds to an on-time liftoff. So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds, we might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our window at 4 p.m. Central. So toss it back to you guys one more time. But fun part about to start, we are, a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
All right, so we are continuing to progress now, 5 minutes and 43 seconds until liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
And then after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds, any issue after that would be an automatic scrub for the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the tank farm before we're able to make another attempt.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month And we are just a few minutes away from Flight 6. The crowd here is building up. We've got a much larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very excited to have an afternoon launch to have all the employees here.
Exactly. Now, just as a reminder, that T-minus 40-second hold, if we opt to use it, everything is still potentially go for launch. So nothing to be worried about there. At that point, basically up until T-minus 40 seconds, all aborts are just holds. This would allow the team to wait for final checkouts to assess propellant levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization, range, weather. Occasionally we've had shrimp boats lingering in the past, but that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah, not today. No shrimp boats, which is great. Everything so far is looking good. We're getting really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still
It's got 2.1 million views right now.
going great. Just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away. That happened on the tower prior to the flight director who's going to be tripping.
Yes, 2.1 million people watching this. Well, let's keep that open.
Just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch. So we're hoping to see that again today.
For sure.
A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again. And of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero-gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero-gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have Starlinks. That's our PEZ deployer, so getting its ride to space. So coming up on about 2.5 minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop load.
2.2 million views.
Yep, just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be flowing propellant into the booster and the ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks. So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound. And then the engine starting up in 3 different groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging. And that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today. Do always want to caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here.
Drone quality.
But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds on the board right now. So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen.
Here we go.
All right, flight director just confirmed T-minus 1 minute.
50 seconds.
Key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40.
40 seconds. Come on, baby, you got it. I believe in you.
And we flew right through that.
Nice. So they're not going to try attempts to recover Starship. They're going to try and see what limits they can put on us. That's not good. We're going to see some crazy stuff.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6.
Flight 6, here we go.
This will mark our second attempt to catch the Super Heavy booster at the launch tower.
Come on.
As well as
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ignition. There's ignition. Yeah, baby. Come on, baby. Yeah, look at that thing go. 33 Raptor engines. On and going. Here she goes. Mission underway. T plus 20 seconds. All engines look good. Look at that beast go. Oh my
Vehicle is
gosh.
pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Beautiful. All engines look healthy.
Booster and ship,
Oh
avionics,
yeah,
power,
look
and
at that
telemetry
thing go.
nominal.
Nice. All engines look really healthy. That thing's just going.
Vehicle
Man,
is
just a little over a minute into
maximum
flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about
Minute.
6 miles away, so all the sound still hitting us here. Hearing good call outs that power telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor
Look at that thing
engines
go.
lit up
Oh
on
my
telemetry
gosh.
screens.
It's
At
going.
this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q.
Nice. So max Q, they passed it. Beautiful.
Now coming up in just
Easy.
a little
This
over
is too
a minute
easy
from
for
now
SpaceX.
is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see
I like this
the
part. This is
6
the coolest
engines
part.
on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just
Come on,
before that,
baby.
we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine. And so while we continue to
Come on,
watch it
please.
go
Please
up,
separate.
a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send
I believe
a
in you.
manual command.
Let's go. Come
Just
on.
about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Oh, cameraman, you all. Oh. Ah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Here we go. Hot staging's coming up.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Towers go for catch.
The
Let's
return
go,
flag
baby.
is set for true.
3 engines on. Stage separation.
Start up.
Oh, look at that thing go.
Stage separation.
Look at that thing. Oh,
All right,
what
hot
a
staging
shot.
confirmed. 6 out of 6 lit
What
on
a
the ship.
shot.
Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch.
Go for catch. They're going for catch.
Kate,
Second
Jesse,
attempt.
take good the views. Hopefully I got a booster coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan,
Catch as a
great
go.
views of planet Earth behind that super heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
chamber
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the
Nice.
upper portion
All
of the
those-
vehicle.
all those
Follow along with the
engines
telemetry
are
on the
failing.
bottom
That's
of your
good.
screen.
Yeah, booster
It's coming
is
back to land on the
currently- Super
tower.
Heavy is currently
It's gonna get caught.
in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn
avionics,
Again.
power, and telemetry nominal.
This boost back burn lasts just a little bit over a minute, so we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
Nice.
We've had shutdown of that boost back
Booster's
burn.
good.
Up
Booster's
next
good.
will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid fins.
Booster offshore divert.
And we can
Nice.
also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the
It's coming
next
back down.
Starship is following a
It's
nominal
gonna get caught by
trajectory.
the launch tower. We're launching.
The next step for
It's just
booster
unbelievable.
is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
No tower catch today.
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go
That's
well
fine.
in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch
That's
today.
okay.
But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently
Hey, as long as the booster
making its way
lands in the
towards the
water,
Indian
we're good.
Ocean. Still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen.
So they still
Now, we
catch
said before that it was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good flight data with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit burns, which is
the island's right there. Just scoot it over a little bit. Probably was off target a little bit.
And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy
looked like it was going off
as it's making its way back down to Earth.
We'll find out if it lands
once
in
again,
water.
we are attempting an offshore
They still get to
landing
catch
of the Super Heavy booster.
footage at least.
So we
That's
have
good.
seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching it come down
it's still fun
for
to
a soft
watch, even though they're not
splashdown
catching it today.
off
That's okay.
the Gulf Coast of Texas. We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins.
Look
there
at
are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Oh, we can see that the
Nice,
landing has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3 just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today. Oh, Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty awesome once again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy
I'll take that,
booster.
a water landing.
Congrats
I'll
to the
take that.
SpaceX team for making that milestone.
I'll take a
as
water
well.
landing.
Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is
Starship is in terminal guidance.
great news there. Starship terminal guidance, referring to what we see here on our screen, the upper stage, at about 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff, which will be the cutoff of the Raptor engines. We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome for ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved.
Well,
Nominal
they
orbit
didn't catch
insertion.
the
There's that call out we were waiting for. Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
They didn't catch the booster,
It
but
has been a very exciting
splashed
afternoon
down.
so far.
So I'll take that.
We'd like to send it over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. You guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see it lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but again, we've done it once, we've now done it twice. We're going to keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go. Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great, and all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not-too-distant future. Back over to you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Development testing, by definition, is unpredictable, which we saw with Super Heavy.
So they're in space now with Starship, at least. They didn't catch Booster, which is fine. But Starship might not be able to come back today. They're gonna put some stress on it. They're gonna see if it can survive with some crazy stress from the atmosphere. We'll find out if it survives, but I'll take this launch. This was a beautiful launch. Splashdown wasn't far from the land, so that's good. I was really looking forward for a catch, though. Really looking forward for a catch. But that's okay. Just for safety. It's only the second time, so that's okay. You can't rush things because you don't want to blow up that whole area. But we'll find out what happens with ship. We'll see if it survives. What all these tests are gonna do, and we'll find out. So.
Views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, around T plus 35 minutes.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and hopefully see a splashdown.
I hope. Let's hope we get a splashdown. We should be able to get a splashdown. I don't see why not. But what a beautiful launch. No booster catch, sadly, but that's okay. So T plus 30 minutes, or 35 minutes, they said, that they'll come back. And hopefully we have a re-entry. They're going to do a lot of things differently with re-entry, so it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird looking. And I think what they were saying, I could be wrong. I think when we're saying this for the atmosphere, they're going to go in like this a little bit more down. Just put as much stress on the vehicle as they can just to see if it can survive, because they're going to Mars one day. So you might as well, try and just see how fast you can go on Earth and, see if you can survive through crazy atmospheric pressures. But we'll find out. I mean, so far, so good right now. Booster didn't get caught. That's okay. Only for the second attempt, so I had a feeling they weren't going to catch it. But that's okay. So yeah, we'll be back here at 35 minutes. I'll probably just keep the sound on. Not too loud. Because I don't know if YouTube is going to give me a copyright. I'll keep it low. So yeah, D plus 35 minutes, or 30 minutes, we'll be back here. And we'll just keep watching the launch and see what happens. I mean, they're going to do all kinds of tests with Starship. There's a banana. Well, yeah, this is gonna be a good re-entry. Hopefully, it's daytime, and I think we'll be able to see it too. Yeah. So 2 plus 30 minutes. They're gonna be back here. So yeah, we'll keep watching, and I'll come back here when something happens. Alrighty, we're back. I'm just trying to see if the tower is okay. Because some people on the other streams were saying that the tower was damaged. It doesn't look damaged. It was in catch mode though, but I'm wondering the telemetry was off a little bit. Kind of looked like it was off just a little bit, but it changed last minute too because of it not wanting to land or get caught by the tower. But Starship is still going. So I think they're going to do a Raptor engine relay at 30 or 35 minutes. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. And hopefully shit won't blow up. But yeah, that's what the bay is gonna look like for the Starlinks. it's a really big bay. Okay, so it looks like Starship is at its altitude. It's just cruising now. Everything's looking pretty good. That banana's holding on. Slash wasn't bad. The booster did look like it was gonna be a little bit off. Because the way on the other streams, the way that the tower was kind of looked off, but I don't know. Something was probably just off. And they were like, we're not gonna risk it. We can't blow up that whole base. That'd be horrible. I mean, there's 4.7 million people watching this right now. But I mean, so far, it looks good. For now. We'll see what kind of stress test they're going to do with this ship. Because they know they could clearly go through the atmosphere and land it and everything. Now they're going to try and see, okay, well, can't survive through this certain pressure, or I don't know. We'll find out. It's going to be a little bit more harsher when they do the reentry. It's going to look a lot different. We will find out. 28 minutes into flight. I think everyone was looking forward for the booster catch. I know I was. Just at the beginning when they were saying that, oh, we might not be able to catch the booster today. And I was like, oh, well, you guys said that a whole bunch of times, so it's not gonna happen. There's no way. Same with Ship. I don't think Ship is gonna return, just because SpaceX, you know, they want to find a failure in the ship so that they know what that failure was. But I mean, I don't know. I think with SpaceX and the experience they got from Falcon 9 and just all these other Starship tests that they've been doing, I feel like this ship is gonna make it through, but we don't know. It's gonna be a crazy stress test because they want the ship to fail. They want it to fail because they'll be like, okay, well, we know what failed on it, we'll fix it in the next ship. And if nothing doesn't fail, then that's good. I feel like there's gonna be something with the flaps for sure. The flaps are definitely gonna get a little burnt up, maybe. I don't know, but all we can do is just watch and see what happens if it's gonna make it through. So it looks like Booster is still floating in the ocean. So they didn't blow it up, but it's just floating there. Oh, now it's like on fire or something. Just moving up and down. Oh, it looks like it's probably just releasing all the gas. No, the booster looks like it's okay. I would show you guys, but I'm not trying to get my stream banned or something. But yeah, booster looks like it's on fire, but it's still intact. I'm trying to see what Tim does. Yeah, so the booster's still in water intact, but there's a little flame at the top. So they're probably trying to do something to blow it up, or it's just gonna slowly sink to the bottom of the ocean. I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, that's what it looks like right now. That's the booster. This is Tim Dodd's footage. So that's the booster in the ocean. Yeah, the top is definitely on fire. Yeah, I think they're just probably burning all the gas off, maybe? I don't know. It's weird. Oh, man. We're not getting sick, boys. They're still on the dark side of the planet. That just shows how big our planet is. Was that lightning? Yeah, there's like lightning right here. Yeah, I see that. There's lightning. Here, look at that. I see lightning.
Continuing to get some live views from Starship itself as it continues to make its way around the globe. We are coming up on what we will hopefully see is our in-space relight demonstration. This will be firing up one of those 3 sea-level Raptors on the very aft end of the ship and essentially reigniting it while we're in that microgravity environment in Earth orbit. We had attempted this once previously on Flight 3, but ended up skipping it when we had some attitude control issues with the ship. And we are on the dark side of the planet right now, so views are going to be a little bit dark, but hopefully we see some engine light come on as we do this relight test. This is a pretty critical capability for doing deorbit burns. This is not a deorbit burn. Want to stress that we're on a trajectory where if we didn't fire off the engine at all, we are definitely coming home.
Lightning in the background.
Seeing some thunderstorms down on the ground. That's pretty cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight, and we continue to monitor during, but we're going to aim for that and hopefully see this relight test coming on in about a minute. It's just going to be one of these engines, and it uses what's called the header tank, so these small spherical tanks in the very top of Starship up in the nose cone. They don't require nearly as much gas to pressurize as your main tank, so they're really useful for any in-orbit maneuvers.
That weird lighting.
And then for landing burn. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. Should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn. And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not weighed down by the force of Earth's gravity.
And
just heard the call out for startup.
Worked.
There's some light. There's that Raptor relit. And shut down.
Nice.
All right, there you have it. The first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future. So check another one off. That was a really cool. That was an objective we really wanted to hit on this one, and so good to see Ship knock that one out in orbit. But for now, we're going to coast for just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return from hypersonic velocities. We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start this entry part soon.
Nice. So that little relight they did, that was for moon missions, basically, so that, you know, when you're wanting to land on the moon, it's different. You don't go through an atmosphere, you gotta keep going around and around, and then you gotta stop to slow down, and then you come down. So they're just trying to do that just for, you know, even Earth orbits. When they do Starlink eventually, they can use the Raptor engines to slow it down or change its orbit or something like that. So here we go. Starship is almost like that angle right now, going like that. So I don't know what kind of tests they're going to do for re-entry, but the ship is like that right now. So they might move it around to see. I don't know. They're just going to do some kind of test on it. So we might see some crazy stuff, possibly a blown up ship. So be prepared for that. But we'll find out. So far, so good. The mission's going good. The relight Raptor engine was good. And now we're going through re-entry. So yeah, this ship is gonna go through some stress tests today. So we'll get prepared for that. Probably move my camera over. That's fine. Probably move it. Right there. No. Might have to keep adjusting my camera for you guys because I want to get the best views for you guys. Alright, is it still going through? Yes, it's still going through. Still going through the atmosphere. It's just very smooth. Very smooth video. It looks like it's working. Now it's going like almost like that angle. That's still the same angle.
Starship is at 100 kilometers altitude, good attitude for atmospheric entry.
Okay. No one's talking right now. So this is looking good. So I think it goes to the atmosphere twice. So it has, you know, the braking system where it tries to slow it down. But I think they're doing this on purpose too because they want to see how tough this bad boy really is. So yeah, we'll find out. So far, so good. It's all for views. That's cool to get to see the engine bay. Hopefully we get to see the engine bay when they land it. And if not, then hopefully we'll see on their X page. Because it's right now it's like braking, it's like skimming the atmosphere. Because you could tell it's not really, it's hot, but not that hot for the ship. And then eventually, once they get thicker into the atmosphere, it's going to be a little bit more crazier. Yeah, look at this flap. That space right there. Well, I don't know, we'll find out. I'm kind of scared for that little space right there. Ooh, we'll find out though. I mean, so far it's looking really good. But ship isn't slowing down yet. Kinda is slowing down.
Exciting day so far. We lifted off from Starbase at 4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful separation as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage adapter. We did not attempt a return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
All right, great news there, turning our attention over to the star of the show here, giving us these amazing views once again. We heard the call out there telling us that the Starship vehicle is now 83 kilometers above, coming up around T plus, well, now actually, the ship, as you can see, is beginning to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. As a reminder, one of the main goals of today's flight test is for the ship to make it through the extreme heat of re-entry and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communication capability with the spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or about 5 miles per second.
Let's see what kind of tests
those
are going to do.
speeds,
I'm kind of
pretty fast.
excited
the spacecraft
for this.
is moving through the atmosphere rather quickly, and that results in friction, as we can see that starting to happen on our screen, and this creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication.
Well, sure won't be any blackouts because the Starlink.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Nice camera view. Nice.
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy of Starlink. We've got 4 different terminals on the ship itself. It's what's really allowed us to get real-time data during what's otherwise been just a mystery box, essentially, for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time hasn't ever been possible before. But we're able to not just get these views, but real-time telemetry from the ship as it's coming through. Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight, where we had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield, thousands of tiles, installing a backup
it kind of looks
ablative,
like they
and that
took some off
pretty
right
much set us
here.
up to do a pinpoint landing on Flight
Right?
5. We
Looks
did
like
not
it.
do that with this one. We have some backup in those really sensitive areas around the flat, but this is an older generation heat shield. And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are some steel covered tiles in a couple of different spots. And there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing. As you guys talked about, we gave it a little bit of a haircut, a couple hundred tiles trimmed off the sides, and that's where we might have catch fittings in the future. But ooh, color's starting to come in. So it looks like things are going to start heating up, Kate and Jesse.
Yeah,
Here we
fun
go.
fact, Dan,
Let's
we
see.
actually removed 2,100 heat shield tiles from Starship in order to basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind of can see there in your view.
They took these out.
Think back to previous flights. The heat shield line came up further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle
this down
beyond
here.
what we think it is capable of
Watch
carrying
down
based
here.
on our simulations and calculations. So once again,
Here we
to
go.
just be super plain,
Now it's
don't
really
be
gonna slow
surprised
down.
if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here. We won't be. There are a number of things that we are testing out intentionally to see what the ship can take.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are will really help us design the vehicle of the future. Essentially, removing those tiles helps us remove a lot of weight from the vehicle, a lot of things that might potentially need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to come up with a heat shield pattern or design that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over and over again. And that's why we're changing some of those tiles and moving stuff around, removing a lot of those tiles, as Kate has been mentioning.
Exactly. And, you know, looking forward to the Starship capability of the future, we want to be able to catch Starship like we do
like
with boosters.
Bag.
And so the next flight, we want to better understand where we can install catch hardware, not necessarily to actually do the catch, but to see how that hardware holds up in those spots. And today's flight will help inform, you know, does the stainless steel hold up like we think it may based on experiments that we conducted on Flight 5? Now, continuing to look, amazing views. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, there's so much on this flight that we're doing to try and, you know, make all the ships that we're about to start flying even better, just really understand what their capabilities are going to be. We've got kind of the next-gen ship lined up for Flight 7. It's got all of those heat shield upgrades and everything. And one of the things that we're going to be doing that's most interesting, and one of the reasons we wanted daylight, is we're going to be flying pretty aggressively as ship comes in. We're going to be kind of nose down, and we've done it in wind tunnels. We've done it in simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around trying to control the vehicle. We're betting we might have a little bit more capability than we think in just the analysis, but always a chance that bet doesn't pay off. But that just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship
limits.
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Sweet. Halfway there. Halfway home, guys.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, and if you guys, again, can follow along with the altitude and the speed of ship as it's making its way back down to Earth, bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
From here down.
Speed is still going really fast. Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll see that altitude drop a little bit faster. It's kind of dropping pretty slow right now. And again, as we get closer and closer to literally the surface of the water, then we'll start to see that speed pick up. And if we can make it through this re-entry, we will attempt to do that flip maneuver once again and splash down in the ocean.
Exactly.
If they do that flip maneuver,
like we've
hopefully
been
we get to see
saying,
that engine
we
bay.
are testing beyond the
That would be awesome.
perceived limits of the vehicle. We want to go learn more about the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment to help inform these future designs. As we've mentioned, it has a different heat shield. This heat shield is not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So we are also testing out new secondary thermal protection materials. So basically, like if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the ship's structural strength in those areas where we're looking to add that ship catch hardware just to see if it survives entry. So yeah, as we've been saying, we've done a lot of calculations and simulations.
Nice.
This view right here is super cool.
So
this is looking out from the aft engine bay, basically at the bottom of Starship. Then on the center
the sun coming up
left-hand
too.
panel, if you will, we have
Earth
one
now.
of the forward Starship flaps.
Oh,
So one of the flaps located at the top
Starship,
of the
you got
vehicle.
it.
Underneath that is one
You
of the
got it, you
aft end
beast.
flaps, like the one that we see in the main picture there on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, these views as the vehicle continues to enter the Earth's atmosphere, drawing a crowd once again here at SpaceX and Hawthorne as folks tune in as the mission continues on. Now, the
Someone's
next
going to be
event that
getting
we have coming
video
up,
flying over.
we should hear the call out that the vehicle
Hopefully.
is transonic around T+1 hour and 2 minutes or so. That means that the vehicle
It
is
looks like it went through
traveling
re-entry.
near the speed of sound. We say near the speed of sound because there are certain parts of the
Well, we
vehicle
can't say
where
that yet.
airflow
It's
is
not
going
over.
faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of the speed of sound. So once we have equal flow on all parts, then we'll hear it's subsonic.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
no.
Oh, and almost real quick, almost a reverse of.
It's working.
I'm sorry, Jesse. Almost a reverse of before. We see the Earth starting to come into view. We've got sunrise
This
there
is daylight.
over the Indian Ocean. So this is going to look different from any of the re-entries we've had before, and it was specifically so like
This looks
we
so
get as much
much
daylight
better.
as
Here we
possible to see
go.
how ship does this. Over to you,
Let's
Jesse.
go.
Sorry about that.
Dan, great minds think alike. That's exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the background with the different temperatures that we're seeing with the different colors of that plasma around the ship, which
Yeah,
is really
dude.
cool to see. Again, we are pushing the limits.
It
of
looks like
ship
it's
today.
gonna do it.
But so far, everything is looking pretty nominal.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
just
see how
this
the next
part.
few minutes
I can't
goes.
tell down here.
Like we've said before, don't be
It
surprised
just looks
if this
bent.
is not entirely smooth sailing all the way down to
That's probably just
the
the
ocean
angle it's
surface.
at.
Similar
camera
to Flight
angle.
5, we are targeting the same splashdown location
Flaps
in the
look
Indian
good.
Ocean, but we are not expecting to recover the vehicle.
Right, and we were getting some glimpses of the flaps. The flaps so far are looking pretty good. We're not seeing any burn through. There's those
Something
flaps
right
again
here.
In that hinge area, which is our most concerning area there. That's great news for us for
can't
now.
tell, though.
Again, the next few minutes
It
could
looks
change
good,
as
though.
we continuously push those limits.
Yeah,
Someone's gonna
once we
catch this on
slow
video
down
on Earth.
a little bit
Someone.
for subsonic, essentially. So I think
gonna be
it's about
someone out there. It's gotta
1,200
be.
kilometers an hour. Once we're down below that, that's when we're going to kind of dip our nose down and get that more aggressive angle of attack. Normally, we're just
So
belly
after
flop
that,
right into the
they're
water,
gonna go
pretty
like
much that position.
Basically go down.
But
I
if
think
we're going to be
we'll
able
find
to
out.
do return to launch sites, we're going to want to be able to fly with a little bit more of an angle of attack, get you a little bit more range
Look at
as
that,
you're
you
coming
see
through.
Earth.
And so this'll be just a test to see quite how far can we push it. And obviously, we're going to do these kind of tests way out here in super remote areas before
Mm-hmm.
you ever try to bring a ship back to a place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
Nice.
All right, great news there. That tells us that we
Heat
are
shield's doing its
through
thing.
the phase of peak heating.
So let's see how aggressive
So
they're
we
gonna
are
get with this
expecting
ship.
these temperatures to continue to come down. Once again, we are targeting a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
They're still targeting a splashdown.
Around off the northwest coast of Australia.
Uh-oh.
We can see these beautiful views of
Right
planet
here.
Earth coming in. Yeah, this is very different where we had nighttime views of the ship as it was re-entering. And now we've got daylight. It is
Right
about
there.
an hour or so
It's
after
heating up.
sunrise there in the Indian Ocean. So
It's heating up.
pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, and it might not
No,
seem like
don't
it
break,
makes a
don't break,
huge
don't break,
difference,
don't break,
but we
don't
do
break,
get a
don't
little
break,
bit more light on
Yeah,
ship
right
as
there.
well for the
It's
camera
heating up.
views that
Oh,
we
it's-
have, which is very beneficial for us to visually see anything and try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
Exactly. That is why we shifted our launch
I mean, it
window
looks
so that
fine.
we could have that daylight in order to
Kinda
improve our observations
got
of the
glowy
vehicle.
for a minute.
So not only are we getting all the raw data from all the sensors that are on board Starship, but we also
That
have
flaps
multiple
look
cameras
perfectly
and
fine.
assets out there
That other
that
one
are
looks
watching
scary.
the vehicle and will also be able to tell us with this visual story that is also very, very important.
And as we get down a
Back.
little bit lower, the Raptor engines are in their chill phase right
flaps
now.
look good.
Just essentially getting them primed to turn on. We're going to use those 3 center engines
Okay.
to do a landing flip and then a landing burn. So
Oh, we get to see
we'll come down
everything,
kind of in that
dude.
slightly
Oh,
pointed down belly
yes.
flop and then fire off those
During the
engines
day.
to flip us around and then do that final landing burn. That should be
44
coming up in
kilometers.
just just under 5 minutes from now.
So with
and
the
then hopefully you start
re-entry,
hearing some call outs on transonic and subsonic as we slow down. Again, once you hear Starship as subsonic, keep a close eye on the flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially to maintain control of the ship as we get a little more aggressive with
looks like
this.
there's a little fire on it, but nothing major. Oh my gosh, look at that wing.
We can see that we are beginning.
flap.
Starship has passed
Little
maximum entry
red right
dynamic
here.
pressure.
Looks like it's...
All right, great call out there. But we can see on this view here that we do have some heating
I mean, it
there
still moves.
on that looks
That's
like
not
one of
bad.
the forward flaps on
There's no
Starship.
hole in it.
This is to be expected. We knew that the vehicle would perform differently than what we had seen on Flight 5. This is actually really good data because it tells us what parts of the vehicle at this, what will soon be a higher angle of attack once we drop down below the speed of sound. We'll have a higher angle of attack, meaning we're going to be flying nose down, basically. So yeah, this is good news, but we can actually, looks like that heating is starting to cool off there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a
So there's
little
no
burn
hole, that's
through.
good.
Again, it is important to note when we start seeing that through the ship's descent as well. So like Kate was saying, we're getting some really good data here. Looks like the other flaps are doing a little better than the one that has a little burn through, which is some good news. Again, constantly watching. We've got a couple minutes until we're expecting to make it all the way back down to Earth.
Come on, Starship, you got
Exactly. And like we
got
said
it.
before, we are not expecting to recover the ship, although that would be great. It'd be a nice bonus if it happened, but it's not really in our expectations today. We really want to push the hardware, as we've been saying, but really the telemetry and the data and the video that we receive all the way to the end is truly what we're looking for and will help inform the future
it. Oh,
design
we get to see
of this
everything, dude. Oh my
We
gosh,
can see
this
some
looks
flap
so
movement
good.
as the camera is moving around. That's what you're seeing there is the flaps adjusting. We have a camera on one of the flaps there this is the view that you're seeing
You got
there.
it, flap, you got it.
And you can also see the graphic in the bottom.
Starship is slowing
Oh my
down
gosh,
past
it's like
Mach 1.
floating there, it looks like.
And call outs aligning with this. You can see the orientation of the vehicle starting to change.
Yeah,
You
look
can
at that.
follow
It like
graphic at the bottom of your
stops
screen.
and then like turns around
Again, that
and
is
then it
why
goes.
those flaps are
Look at
changing. They
that.
control the orientation of the vehicle.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
four.
this is-
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic
I
belly
was gonna-
flop, remains
That's
on a
so
trajectory.
much different than
I was gonna
the
say,
day.
this
It was
is
literally like
when
this,
things
dude. It's literally like
will
this.
start
Now
to
it's
get a
like
little
this.
interesting. So this is when we're
What?
moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're going to try
Let's
and
see what they're
maintain
gonna
flat
do.
control the whole way.
This
We
is
are just
beautiful
a couple
footage.
minutes
Oh
away
my
from
gosh.
hopefully doing a landing flip.
What the heck?
Landing flip and landing burn if the flaps can hold together.
Yeah, this is such a cool view. This reminds
now it's
me
going straight down.
of when we first performed the belly flop maneuver on the high altitude
so it literally
test
like
with
almost
serial number
stops
8.
itself to where
We
it
saw
floats
the
there
ship
and then
come
like
back
moves
through,
itself
and
down
I always
and then it
wondered
goes
what
down.
it looked like from the ship's perspective, and
Hey,
this perspective I
SpaceX
think
blows
helps
my mind
inform
every
that.
time.
We will be, as Dan said, we will be dipping down a little further and really be flying nose first. This higher
watch
angle
this
of attack,
bottom,
we're
this
intentionally doing
front
it to
is gonna go
stress
down
those
more.
aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits
doing it
of
right
flat
now.
control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
We'll see what happens here. It looks good, but it all comes down to
I
what
mean, we're looking good
tests
so
are
far.
doing.
We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go.
Come on, baby, you got it.
We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple
got
hundred
it.
meters
4
over the ground.
kilometers.
Do that flip.
Starship
make
got
a
it.
passing
landing
through
turn.
5 kilometers.
Oh, dude, this
Altitude
looks so
remains on a
good.
good trajectory.
Oh my
I
gosh,
have a
it's
feeling
going
this is going
so
to look
good.
so cool
It's
as
going
it passes
so
through the
good.
clouds.
Oh my gosh, look at this shit.
Obligatory
language.
shout out to the entire avionics team on
It's
Starship.
one slip. Okay, now it's diving down. Now it's
There's
going
that
like
nose
this.
down orientation.
Oh, it looks off.
Now the
Oh wait, no, it
rocket
doesn't.
engines will relight
No, it's still
and
on.
help
It's
flip
still
the
on.
booster back up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Engines
whoa,
will
whoa,
shut
whoa,
down prior to the water making
Come on,
impact,
SpaceX, you
prior
got it.
to the vehicle making impact with the
Oh,
water.
it's working.
Our ship is
It's
doing
controlling
great
it.
so
Come on,
far.
ship. Come on, ship. Come on, ship. Flip,
There
flip,
it is.
flip. There's a flip.
Relighting.
What a
Oh
great
my gosh!
orientation by
What a
Starship.
land! And there it is! There's ship! There's Starship!
Three down to 2.
There's Starship! Look at that! Oh my gosh! Oh, baby, a triple!
We have ship
Oh my
last
gosh!
in the Indian Ocean.
Some
Oh, wow,
cam
dude.
action here. Daylight views.
Oh, poor ship.
Incredible. We really pushed the limits on ship and it made it all the way back down to
It
Earth.
did it!
I am shocked, to be honest. I think
Dude.
many folks are. The fact that it survived
That
all the
day
way through
shot.
while flying a lesser gen heat shield
Oh my
is
gosh.
just absolutely incredible. And
there's
turns
ship.
out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted, and that is why
It's
we
a
test like we fly.
beast!
Exactly why we do
It's a
that. And those
beast.
views were absolutely incredible.
Bring it to
to watch.
Mars.
Because
Send
of
one to
Starlink,
Mars
we were
right
able to get
now.
the views all the way down, as well as the buoys,
Wow.
seeing ship touchdown in daylight.
So cool, so cool. Now we want to, unfortunately, wrap up the show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
We'll say congratulations to our teammates at SpaceX
What a
and to
launch
everyone
today.
who
Oh
supported
my
the Starship
gosh.
program. And thank you
Dude.
to all of our future customers for your support.
We'd also like to thank the people of Cameron County,
Wow.
Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Government of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
What a launch, dude.
Now, be sure to
They're like, should we do it? Should we not? That's okay.
Hey guys, I could take it from here. That was just incredible to see that
Wow.
splashdown.
Dude, what a
As you said, thanks to everybody that took
splashdown, dude.
such a huge part in this. Everybody here at Starbase that's worked on this program, just really pouring your lives into it. Great to see another
Poor
booster
banana.
lift off. We'll catch it the next time. Great to see ship in the
What a
water.
launch, dude.
New version of ship coming soon, so a lot more exciting launches coming up real soon here from Starbase. But I'll send us out this time. We'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Be sure to follow SpaceX on X for updates and more
Wow, what a
exciting
launch.
views that we weren't able to feature on today's broadcast.
I'm sure there will be plenty of those. Now, thanks to all of you for tuning
7
in,
mil.
and we'll see you next time.
7 million views. Let's go, dude. SpaceX did it again. I mean, it never ends with them, dude. They put the ship to the stress, and their calculations were way off, and ship did way better than what they were thinking it would do. So that's Very, 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 very good news. So that's it. That's it of the old generation Starships. There we go. That's it for old generation. Now we move on to the V2s of Starship. So the new generation of Starship it's going to look really good, just from what they were looking at it, showing on the stream. It looks beautiful. So, I mean, just what a launch today, guys. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Like that, even though we didn't get a booster catch, that would have made it way better. But hey, they both landed in the ocean and they're safe. So that's all that matters. And we get to see it. So we still saw all the landings. Starship did a full flip. I mean, dude, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy, man. Like, that daytime, that was nice. That was so cool to see in daytime Starship doing the flip and everything. SpaceX will probably have some good footage on their X page. I won't be surprised if they post some on there. So, what a launch today, guys. What a launch. So, Flight 7, they're already talking about it. Won't be surprised if it's going to be next month. But, yeah, Flight 7's next, and it's already approved, and everything's basically ready to go. So, I mean, it's pretty soon SpaceX with Starship is going to be like Falcon 9. It's just going to shoot off every day. I mean, it's going to be crazy, dude. That's all I got to say. So, well, another successful launch for Starship. No booster catch, sadly, but hey, it's okay. It's only the second attempt. But Starship went through every test that they wanted to do, and it did it. So, next test is going to be even better. Flight 7 is going to be way different. They're probably going to have Starlink on it too and deploy it. So, we'll find out. But, dude, what a launch, guys. What a launch. So, but thank you guys for watching. Booster's still alive. It's still in the water. It has flames at the top of it. But that's about it. So, we'll find out. And like always, guys, thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys on the 7th flight of Starship, hopefully next month. Make sure you guys are following my channels, stay updated if we do have, if there is a launch soon. So, but yeah, like always, guys, see you guys next time. Peace.